of people in this country.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. The CFPB recently made updates to its unfair, deceptive, and abusive acts and practices exam manual to better protect people and communities from illegal discrimination. Again, starting with you, Ms. Rice, and Mr. Morial and Ms. Nelson. Do you think the CFPB update making clear that discrimination is covered by UDAP was an important move for the CFPB to make?
Yes, I do. Discrimination can be both actions can be both unfair and they can be discriminatory. And I'll lift up an example of a case that the CFPB brought under UDAP in conjunction with the Navajo Nation to stop an illegal tax refund scheme that steered borrowers of color, including consumers of color, including many members of the Navajo Nation, to a very high-cost, exploitative tax refund anticipation loan product. The CFPB used its authority under UDAP to bring this action, which again was both discriminatory and unfair. So the clarifications that the CFPB recently made, they are not a new approach, they're not an overreach, they're a clarification of the policies and standards that the CFPB has used all along. And I think it's critically important for regulatory agencies to provide additional clarity so that all stakeholders can understand how those regulatory agencies are interpreting the law. That case was brought in 2015.
Let me make two points. Number one, all the talk about regulatory certainty, the CFPB's guidance is designed to create, for those who are regulated, more certainty as to how this statute will be interpreted. But it is troubling, and it is an act of betrayal for some who, in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, trumpeted their commitment to a new day for racial equity, to then turn around and go through the back door and challenge this guidance in court. And we are going to continue to call out the notion that on one, you play uptown and you pray downtown, Senator Brown, where on one hand you say, we are going to do things differently, but then you turn around and file a lawsuit against something which is designed to create more regulatory uncertainty. So I agree with Ms. Rice, but I want to add that perspective because I think it's very important that you can't on one hand say, we want regulatory certainty. And then on the other hand, when regulatory certainty is ordained in a guidance, you walk to the courthouse and you challenge it after you have made so many public statements about your commitment to racial justice. So it's important for this committee to understand that perspective.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Ms. Nelson.
Yes, so to be clear, the CFPB has the authority to regulate discriminatory conduct as an unfair practice under Dodd-Frank. And I know this committee knows that in order to constitute an unfair practice under Dodd-Frank, a practice has to satisfy three prongs. One is that it's likely to cause substantial injury to customers. Two, that that injury is not reasonably avoidable. And three, that that injury is not outweighed by countervailing benefits to consumers or competition. And in the words of then FTC Commissioner Rohit Chopra, discriminatory practices from many financial institutions are 3 for 3 when you consider each of those considerations. That discrimination must be addressed by regulatory agencies. That is their charge. It is not beyond the scope of their authority to do so. And we hope that there will be additional reinforcement to allow this agency to do its work and to fill the gaps that I identified in my testimony in our current federal statutes that are important, but do not take us all the way in protecting against racial discrimination in financial services.
Thank you, Senator.